Hi and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Ana Fernandez. I am an attorney in Miami, Florida, and I focus my practice primarily on family law issues, including divorces and paternity and all those type of cases. So in this video, we are going to briefly discuss whether it's possible to modify an award for alimony, whether it was an award that was granted as a result of a marital settlement agreement that was entered into between the parties, or an order that resulted from a full-out trial. Whatever it may be, if you are either receiving or paying some sort of alimony, we want to know, is it possible to modify it? Whether you want to completely do away with it, you want to modify to ask for more, or you want to modify to request a court to pay less. And the answer for all these three is yes. You can definitely ask the court to modify an award for alimony, and sometimes it even terminates on its own. But let's first talk about modifying it. Now, in order to qualify for alimony, there has to be a need and an ability to pay. Let's say we're past that because you already have an order. Again, whether it was agreed to by an agreement or it was after resulted as a trial, an order that was entered into after the trial, you have the order, right? Now, if something happens after the order, if it was a substantial change in the circumstances, and of course those are the key words, substantial change in the circumstances from the time that either the order was entered into or the agreement was entered into, then you can modify that. So let's talk about an example. Now, let's say at the time of the divorce, the person that was paying alimony, or that there's an order that says that you have to pay alimony for X amount of years. Let's say that person loses their job involuntarily. It's not like if, hey, I'm losing my job on purpose so I don't have to pay alimony. Let's say this person legit, they lose their job and they can no longer afford to maintain the other spouse. Well, that person loses the ability to pay, right? So yes, they can go ahead and petition the court, and there's certain factors that the courts are going to look at, but it's a pretty good chance that they have a case because this change in the circumstances wasn't anticipated. Let's say the business let's say you were working or you were owner of Blockbuster, and Blockbuster doesn't exist anymore. So you go from being a millionaire to filing for bankruptcy. That's a substantial change in circumstances, provided that it was not anticipated. Let's say at the time that the order was entered into, or that the agreement was entered into, that Blockbuster was on the verge of filing for bankruptcy. Well, then why would you agree to pay for alimony? There's got to be something in writing that would kind of like protect you for that, because otherwise, is it really anticipated? So yes, there's an argument there. It could go both ways, but always try to protect yourself. That's the safest thing, the safest way to play it, right? So now let's say that the person that was receiving alimony now has an extra need. Let's say they were working, and what was factored into was this person is making X amount, and to maintain that standard of living, they only required, let's say, $100 more to be paid by the other spouse to meet that standard of living. And let's say the agreement or the order says that this type of alimony was going to last for X amount of years, 10 years, let's say. Let's say a few years in, that spouse loses their job and becomes disabled. Let's say they're disabled and it's not voluntarily, they're not purposely not working so that they could get paid more. This is something that happened unanticipated, involuntarily, and now they need extra support to maintain that standard of living as agreed to by either the order or by the marital settlement agreement. Well, that person could petition the court and request for a modification of alimony and ask for more. Now, the third way of doing it is, let's say by statute, if the other spouse, the spouse that's receiving the alimony, if that spouse remarries by statute, then alimony typically ceases. However, there is an exception. Now, if you entered into an agreement, and in the marital settlement agreement it says it doesn't matter if the receiving spouse remarries, the amount of alimony is going to continue for X amount of years, then that is a contractual obligation. So to be able to modify that is going to be difficult unless you can show that there has been a change in circumstances. Otherwise, the statute that says that, hey, if they remarry, I don't have to pay anymore, that is no longer, it's not going to be considered, because what the court does is they want to maintain contracts. They see a marital settlement agreement, they treat it as a contract. They want to maintain what the meeting of the minds of the people, and they want to maintain the word and what the people agreed to. Of course, if there's a change in the circumstances, then of course, that's different. But for purposes of remarriage, then again, if there's nothing in the agreement, then you look at the statute. If the agreement says that it doesn't matter, if the person remarries, then it doesn't matter, that the paying spouse will still need to continue to pay, then that's a contractual provision. The court's gonna most likely, of course, you never know, but they will most likely respect that and keep it as it is. So bottom line, things are modifiable. There has to be a change in the circumstances. The way that the statute reads is actually that you can modify it. It's not about, can you modify it to decrease it? Or can you modify it to increase it? It's modifiable, provided that you have a showing of a substantial change in circumstances, and there's factors that are listed out. So if you have any questions, any comments, or anything you want to see or have answered, please send them our way, because we are actively working on creating content to help serve our community and answer your questions. So again, I'm Anna. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.